head is full of questions, and the sky is full of rain. When I'm worrying about what I can't change, I take a look at my reflection and try to make a funny face. And for a second all my sorrows melt away. As if we just smile, we can forget all of our troubles for a while. We can just live inside this moment, you and I. Get through the darkness knowing we'll find the light. If we just smile, if we just smile, yeah, if we just smile. Maybe we focus on the future. No use in living in the
Hello everyone, how are you all doing? So I'm going to jump right into it because I have some exciting news. Well, I guess this is probably more so exciting for me, but I can now run ads on my videos. So quickly just going to cover this. I don't know too much about it yet because this has just happened, so I'll look a little bit more into it. But I think to start, obviously I want to keep this as less annoying as possible for you guys, but again, I do have to start running those ads on my videos so I can continue creating content and be compensated for it. Anyways, I do believe I have some options on how they roll out, and I think to begin with, what I was reading is my ads will be in the middle of the video, and then I can change this later on. I'm not sure how far down it is that I can change it, but I will be changing that so they don't pop up in the middle of the video. And of course, I will put on the ones where you are able to skip the ad and not have the ones that it just runs straight through. Anyways, I'll do a little bit of playing around with that. I'm very, very excited that I have reached this milestone on YouTube that I can now monetize my videos. So that's really exciting, and it would not be possible if it wasn't for you guys. So I do have to say thank you everyone that helped me get enough watch time hours, and of course subscribe to my channel so I can continue on this journey. On into what this video is all about, how to create inspiring images. I'm not so sure if inspiring is the right word. Someone said define what you mean inspiring. I guess what I'm trying to say is images that have a lot of impact, or I guess I'd say hero shots. I say inspiring because usually when I create work images like this, I have been inspired elsewhere. So to me, it's just this whole thing of you inspire this person inspires you. It's just a circle of good stuff. So pretty much what I mean by this is images that you kind of know are going to do well. They have connection, they have everything all in place, it's all nicely put together. So they're going to perform well on social media or wherever else you're sharing this, and people are going to be able to connect to them. I want to explain my process of how I create these images. Other people obviously have different workflows and shoot differently, but this is how I do it. First thing that I do is obviously come up with the idea, and I usually come up with the idea just obviously out of my own mind, but I've been inspired first from somewhere. So there's tons of photographers out there that are amazing that I follow, but there's one in particular. I'm only going to mention one because I've been following her since I was pretty much started out as a photographer, and she's been a huge source of inspiration to kind of helping me develop my own portrait style. So her name is Lisa Holloway. I'm sure many of you know who she is. She's a Las Vegas photographer. She is quite popular and she is incredibly talented, and her images definitely speak for themselves. I just love her lens choice. I love how most of her images are backlit. I love that she uses children a lot. All of her images are actually mostly her own children. Of course, she does client work as well. But I love how she creates this impact with using children in her images, and they're beautiful, they're gorgeous. The editing especially is gorgeous. So she's one of my main sources of inspiration, and then obviously there's other photographers that, so for this case, for this image, I used a girl and a dog. There's other photographers out there that do a lot of work like this with the dog and children, or dog and adults. So basically, I come up with the idea. So I have a vision in my head. Next up is to find a model for this. So I chose this little girl because she's so cute. I think she's one of the cutest kids I've ever seen. But there's two things that really drew me into her and why I wanted to use her for this image. Her hair. It is so lush and gorgeous and these cute little curls. And then she has these big, massive saucer eyes. And she's like just this tiny little thing, but she has these really, really big features. And I just find that it stands out a lot. So this isn't about like someone being attractive or anything like that. It's just little unique features that I look for that I think will really, really pop in images. Her mom was actually a wedding client of mine, so I photographed their wedding, and obviously I photographed the little girl there, and I also did some of their family images. And the dog that I used, the last time I photographed the dog was when it was a puppy. So cute. So I already kind of had these two in my eyesight. I knew I wanted to use them to create some images. I approached the mom. I originally wanted to do this when there was snow, but we're having a weird winter with no snow. So I approached her. I said, this is my idea. Are you down for this? And of course, she was very happy to have her daughter be included in these images. There's no money exchange in this. These are creative shoots to me. So this is where I'm working on my photography, really working on my skill and having the time without the client pressure to do so. So the mom obviously gets images for helping me out with this, and then I get to grow my portfolio and my skill. After you pick the model and all of this stuff and you plan the shoot date, is styling the shoot. So I needed the mom's help for this, so I basically showed her a few images of clothing options that I was like, this is nice, let's try and stay towards this. And what I mean by nice is I personally prefer very neutral, organic, and maybe more on the old-fashioned side of clothing. So I'm going to say right away that an image like this is not going to work with like a hot pink jacket and kid shoes that light up or have a lot of logos on it, you know, just kind of everyday wear. There's a lot more thought that went into the outfit to make it stand out and have that impact, because things like this really, really matter. You might not think it doesn't, but it does. Definitely plan your outfits out well. So the mom, she happens to own her own little company where she makes like little tutu outfits for kids, and so she already is creative and can already put together a really nice styled look. So everything is stylized, the date is set, the shoot is planned, and next up is picking location. So unfortunately for me, my idea was I wanted to do this in the snow. I thought it would have been really, really cute in the snow, but we just don't have that, so I had to kind of go with just the, I guess, dead landscape that happens in the colder months that is not blanketed by white fluffy snow. So I picked a trail that I have shot on a few times, and because I know already kind of what it looks like, so I know the sort of background and the scene that I'm going to have, and then I just basically work according to what I'm given at the time. So the next thing is, once you have your location decided, the next thing is basically coming up with the poses. I already knew going into the shoot that I would do something like shake a paw, but my original idea was actually to have a image where the little girl was hugging the dog. That was so hard to pull off. I do have one that is like that, but it actually did not perform as well as this shake a paw one. So I guess a little bit of the surprise for me here was that the main idea that I had wasn't really the star of the show, but there was still something that churned out that had a lot of impact, which is the shake a paw one. So why I went with such a simple gesture, like there's nothing new about this. There's nothing new about a kid and a dog doing the shake a paw gesture. But the reason why I have it in there is because it creates connection and it creates a story. Whenever you're shooting with portraits and you're dealing with multiple people or animals or pets or whatever, just try as best as you can to have some sort of body contact, because body contact creates that connection, and connection is needed to fill in a story for the image. So this story is really simple. It's a little girl and her dog, and they're best friends, and they truly are best friends because this actually is her dog. So I have the pose, everything's all decided. Now it's time to actually start shooting, which is definitely the most challenging part because you're dealing with kids and animals. It's not easy. You have to be quick. You can't take your time. You can't dawdle, and you kind of got to let go of like some control of it and just let the kid and the dog, there's going to be meltdowns. They're not going to want to do this. It's not like we're forcing this kid to do these images, but kids are kids. There's always something. It seems like as long as you just bribe them with something like milkshakes, then you're in a safe bet. But because I don't want to say that this kid was forced into doing this, but you know, at the start, it's exciting, they're all into it, they love doing it, but the kids kind of lose interest over time. So this is why I'm saying you need to be quick. For my lens choice, I used an 85mm prime, which is a really great lens choice, but to keep in mind here is that with a prime, you have to move, you can't zoom. So when you're dealing with kids and animals, this can be challenging. You might want to give yourself you might want to back up a little bit more than what you think you need to make sure that you can fit everything in frame and adjust if you have to move, if the child or the dog were to move. A zoom probably would have been easier to use in this case, but I love the look of the prime and I want to start using my primes more because I typically only bring those out for weddings. So that is the lens choice that I used. However, you can use whatever lens that you have on handy. Just make sure if it's a prime, you accommodate that you have to move in order to set yourself up for your composition. So once the image is taken, and you're not just going to get one, you're obviously doing a shoot, you're going to get quite a few, and this is a great way to develop your skill is by doing work that has nothing to do with clients. Because with clients, you're put on the spot and there's expectations. But when it's a creative shoot with someone and there's no exchange of money, I truly feel this is where you can shine and truly show your skills as a photographer. Images like this are not really, like someone could book a shoot with me and say I want something like this, and I would definitely charge them a lot more because there's a lot more time and editing that goes into this to create it. It's more of like a fine art shoot. So keep that in mind. This isn't like the typical family shoot where everything is candid. It's planned. It is a lot more art, I feel, is gone into it. So definitely a higher price tag if people want to book shoots like this. The shooting has happened. You now have all these images to edit, and this is where I think the polished end look really comes together is through the editing. It's such a good idea if you're a photographer to really spend your time educating yourself about editing, because you never know when a simple skill of editing that you haven't learned because you don't take the time to learn it can really make or break your images. This is where I think the make or break of your image happens, and that is in the editing process. You have so much power here that honestly, if you get it wrong, you could really totally just throw off this image, and then it's just not going to work at all. It's not going to be inspiring, and all of your hard work went to pretty much nothing. But at the same time, that's the point of learning things, is you fail, you grow, you fail and you grow, you fail and you grow. So it definitely is a learning process. So what I mean by the editing and how you can really tie this all together and make it wow is simple. But the biggest thing for me with images is mess. Anything too busy is no good. Eliminate mess and always keep the mindset that less is more. I mean, obviously it's very, very brown. It's pretty neutral. We just have kind of like a nice little bit of a tunnel leading into the scene, drawing you, keeping you into the background. But before, it did not look like this. It actually was, I'm going to show you in this one, quite distracting and quite patchy with all of this snow here. You can see the snow in the background, the snow on the sides. In this case, we have Mom standing by with the leash holding the dog. On the other image, I did end up having to Photoshop her out, but that was okay because I needed her help more and knew I could eliminate it after. So basically for this edit, I will walk you through it, is all of the snow that was along the sides here, I got rid of, and same with here. I tried to get rid of some in the background here, but some of it went a little bit too close to the dog's coat, but I don't find that pops out too much, so that was fine. But getting rid of all of that white, I think, completely keeps your eye focused on the important thing of this image, such as the subjects. And then by having a vignette, that also helps draw your eye into the image, warming it up a little bit, because warm draws people in more than cool, and there really would be no reason for this image to be cool. Like even in her little toque and in her leggings, I had to make sure that I warmed them up, because if you see in the unedited one, they are actually quite cool and a little bit too bright with the white because we had some side light coming in here. So I also manipulated the light a little bit. I did not want your eye going out of the frame. out of here because this is where the light was actually coming in. I wanted to keep it all center. So I want to keep your focus on the dog and the girl. So I added this little glow of light right here. Maybe I can quickly show you how I do that. It's the easiest thing you will ever do. Basically, you make a new layer, just a blank layer, set it to soft light. You can do soft light or overlay. I'm not going to explain any of those reasons why because I want to do this quickly. Grab a fluffy brush, have a white color as your, or not even just white, like a warmer, it can be warmer, like a warmer yellow or a warmer orange, anything, but at least brighter. And then make your brush very, very fluffy. In some landscape photographers' techniques, this is known as light painting, and then add it in. As you can see, it gets lighter and lighter, and it creates this beautiful glow. All I'm doing is just pressing. I pressed 3 times, and it added this really, really nice glow, but I'm going to delete that because I already added one in. So that is one way to manipulate the light and keep your eye on your subjects. And I just find that it works way better when there's the light in the background versus it coming in from the side. And this is what I talk about when I say tying the whole image together. I also like to use a vignette, so I keep a vignette on the foreground. That helps kind of distract or keep your eye away from the dirty ground. And then obviously the vignette on this side. So the one critique of this image that I will say is the balance. With dogs, it's really, really hard to kind of get them center. I could have pulled back a little bit and shot this and have had the dog maybe slightly closer, but I find with dogs' bodies is they go obviously on a slant when they're sitting, and then they always have a tail. So the tail takes up this extra space. So if I were to crop this, which I wanted to, I actually wanted to crop this into a 4x5 to post on Instagram, but it just was not working because of the dog's shape. I actually took out a chunk of the dog's arm, or the dog's paw here, to bring it actually a little bit closer together because they were slightly farther back because the dog actually does have a longer leg. Because I wanted to keep the 2 subjects as close to the middle as possible and not to throw off the balance. So this image works really well as a horizontal, but if you're going square, crop, or a 4x5, you're probably going to run into problems. And how I mean by this is look at this dead space here with the little girl. I mean, she doesn't have a little tail that's coming out to balance this off. And then look at the space over on the dog side, much less room. If you really want to try to fix that, you can move the whole image around, and it's really easy to add more onto the edge that you want to have more image on the edge, especially if your image is out of focus and blurry like this one is. Very, very simple. Anyways, that is pretty much all I did with the editing. Warmed it up because I know people are drawn to warm images, and again, I knew that this would work as a warm image. Kept it really, really clean, really, really simple, and just try as best as possible to keep the focus on the dog and the little girl. The background is just extra. It's definitely not the nicest, as you can see in these images. Look at it, it's dead everywhere. It's just a simple tunnel of trees that is really, really popular in Salmon Arm. Here's another one that shows that and shows how the mom is kind of helping out and getting ready or describing to the daughter how to pose. This is literally a shot mid-pose of mom being like, just hold your arm out. And then obviously their dog Dixie is going to respond because she knows there's a treat involved to get this. She knows that there's a treat involved as she does this gesture. So really easy. It's a very simple process to do. Very, very effective, but with a little bit of help and some planning, because this was all planned, you can create some of the most inspiring images that you will have in your portfolio. I want to share some more images with you guys from this shoot and a family shoot that I did that actually turned out great. While I was doing the family shoot, I didn't really think I was getting like very impactful images, but actually I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, and there was a little bit of a plan in with this family shoot as well. So I'd love to share with you what I've been creating over the 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks, not much on the landscape, and I've definitely been into the portraits, so something a little bit different for this video. Anyways, I will talk to you guys again soon. Thank you again for all your support and helping me reach the goal of being able to monetize my videos now. Bye!
Darkness, knowing we'll find the light. If we just smile, if we just smile, yeah, if we just smile, if we just smile. we just smile